Hello and welcome to a new edition of the Bach Cantata of the Week. My name is Xenia Löffler and I am an oboist. In 2000 I was lucky enough to take part in John Eliot Gardiner's Bach Cantata pilgrimage. This was a formative year in my musical career. I am grateful to John Eliot for the confidence he showed in me by bringing me on board as a young oboist for such a large project. Let's now listen together to the cantata for Christmas Day, BWV 110, with the wonderfully joyful title, Unser Mund sei voll Lachens. Let our mouths be full of laughter. This was the culmination of the first of 3 concerts which we performed at the end of this pilgrimage year in St. Bartholomew's Church in New York. In many ways, very different from all the places in which we had played before. Until then, the whole year was marked by the challenge of programs which changed on a weekly basis, with rehearsals in London and the subsequent trips to concert venues across Europe. But now, for the final 3 concerts of this pilgrimage, we all gathered just before Christmas for more than 10 days in snowy Manhattan. Many of the musicians came with their families, and so, despite the immense program that had to be mastered, 12 cantatas and 3 performances, a nice warm Christmas atmosphere arose. The cantata, Unser Mund sei voll Lachens, begins with one of Bach's most spectacular opening choirs, which is hard to beat in terms of splendor of sound and joyful energy. You have to admire Bach's genius for the way he performs the trick of adding a choir in the fugue section to the magnificently scored and densely composed overture of the 4th orchestral suite. One could almost think that he had this plan in mind when composing the orchestral work, because the music is made for the text. Bach put laughter into music in an incomparable way. Even when listening, one can't help but chuckle. Bach demands the highest virtuosity from musicians and singers alike, and one wonders whether the St. Thomas boys back then in Leipzig were already up to these demands. The bass solo passage gives me great pleasure every time I listen to our recording. One can hardly praise the greatness of the Lord more convincingly. In the following aria, with only 2 flutes, tenor and basso continuo, we find ourselves in a completely different, very intimate and reflective atmosphere, quite suddenly and without a transitional recitative. A short bass recitative is followed by the alto aria, O Lord, what is this human child, with a solo oboe d'amore. I remember well the joy I felt when I played this aria with the singer William Tower. Often when composing, Bach, in his unwillingness to compromise, shows little consideration for the instrumentalists. But here he did a fantastic job for us oboists. It is an absolute joy to play this aria with the singer, and once again John Eliot, with his deep understanding of Bach's music and also the German language, found exactly the right mood for the aria so that the music really got going. In the following duet, the atmosphere is very Christmassy. We know the music from Bach's expanded version of his Magnificat. After a series of arias marked by a more contemplative mood, we are again invited to Yuletide praise by the shouts of trumpet and bass, Wach auf, wake up, wake up. For the final chorale, one would expect all instrumental stops to be pulled out again, as in the opening choir, and that Christmas Day will be brought to a musical close with a great cheer. But, surprisingly to me, the cantata comes to an end with a hallelujah in the peculiarly muted key of B minor. In December 2000, New York was a very different place than it turned out to be 9 months later. And even now, after 20 years, we find ourselves in a changed and unsettling world that is hoping for better times. So may the wish, let our mouths be full of laughter, be heard. May we soon enjoy this and other great music together again. Enjoy listening to this week's cantata and also to all subsequent cantatas.